Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. All things Middle Earth here with a video looking at the most recent maintenance announcement. I want to talk about what's going to be changing in the new update, as well as a point on how I think we can continue to encourage these types of positive changes so the game experience is better for everyone involved. So stay tuned, all that coming up in just 1 second. So again, this update is going to be going live at, or there's maintenance at 0300 UTC on the 19th of October. So at 0400 is when this will be live. The first few are optimizations. The first one, it says added the tag feature to the commander walkthrough system so that you can view commander's core stats, their armies, main methods of dealing damage, and the commander's main skill types. The previous walkthroughs will be cleared after the update. Now, I think this is a great, the walkthrough system kind of came out of nowhere and ended up being this, all right, BlueStacks. It ended up being this very good quality of life thing that they didn't really say a whole lot about. It was just like, hey, by the way, here's this feature that actually, to me, is very, very helpful, very useful. The only other thing that I would mention with this, and I've mentioned it on stream a lot, what I would love the ability to do, and it sounds like they're working on adding more, so hopefully this could come in the future. I would love the ability for players to post or save reports to their commanders. So, for example, if you wanted to look at this R25 Dwellin, maybe I'm working on a Dwellin, I could click here and see what the highlight reports are. Now, obviously, people could cherry pick things, but again, I think it would have some use where I could look through and they could share, hey, here's kind of my best reports. Here's what this Dwellin does against the Witch King, against Gandalf the White, whatever it may be. I think it'd be very helpful. And again, if I'm looking through commanders I don't have, for example, one we talk about a lot in the channel is Mouth of Sauron. I want to get a Mouth of Sauron with a Tranquility helmet, and I'd like to see some battle reports from players that have tried that. So it'd be interesting if you go through, you find one, you click on, I don't know, this one doesn't have one, but again, there's some kind of battle report area that you could click on and say, show highlighted reports. And again, as those players have reports they like with their commanders, they can share them. Again, you have to keep in mind that these are the best case scenario, like maybe they could share bad ones too. But I think the added reports to the walkthrough system could be another way to really enhance and help players learn more about the game, which in turn, usually if you learn more, you do better and you enjoy it more. So I think it'd be a win-win. That's that first note and a little item I'd add to it. The next one says you can now set the target language and the chat channel individually while using the translation feature. So if I'm reading that correctly, I think it means you can just set what your language is and everything would automatically translate to that. I'm not sure. Honestly, in terms of the world chat, we're going to make I'll make points on a few of these, but we'll go a little quicker. More often than not, world chat is just not the best thing. I'm guilty of being in there more than I should. I try not to argue with people, but sometimes when certain claims are being made that I don't think are true, I try and answer or provide feedback, but it's hard not to get frustrated. I've said things I probably shouldn't have in there, and I try and own that. I'm not pretending that I'm perfect in there. But honestly, I think even an option to disable world chat would be kind of nice. Again, move over here so you can see it. But if there was some kind of a checkbox or option to just disable, again, obviously you can just not look at it. But if you are in here, you do see different things, or I don't know. It just seems like more often than not, it ends up being a place where people argue and fight and accusations are thrown around. So I don't know how I feel about more quality of life for the feature in the game. And honestly, with translations, there's a lot lost in translation. So usually that ends up, leading people to arguments because people take things as offensive that are not, all that kind of stuff. So I don't know, just a random point there, but there's some quality of life coming for the chat feature. Optimize the display of the commander recruitment interface. Again, the big map in the tavern, I don't, or maybe it actually means in terms of commander recruitment, I assume that means this page. So I'm not sure what that would mean, optimize. If they added a way that you could give, I like how you can see how much respect is being added. It says +1, +2, whatever it is. If they could add an option that says take 2 or take 2 next respect level or max or whatever, assuming you're saving up a bunch, and I could say, okay, I just want to take them to 17 and I've got a bunch sitting here, but I don't want to use the rest until I have enough for 18. I just want to click go to the next level. If that is what that means, I'm all for it. So I don't know. All right, this one says optimize the ring upgrade feature. Now you can upgrade the ring to the corresponding level by tapping on the upgrade button once when there's sufficient ring power. I think this just means if there are multiple levels, you click upgrade once and it upgrades them. So you don't have to sit there and watch it do the animation over and over again. In the early game, it's kind of annoying. I don't think it's that big of a deal, but it's another one of those small things that's fine, I think. So I think that's what that means. Adjusted the names of some respect item selection boxes. The actual contents remain unchanged. Again, I wasn't planning on making points in every single one of these, but I'm going to. Here's a side note on respect item boxes. We have the battle pass, which by the way, has been very, very much the same for a long time and could use a facelift. Like, give us something new and exciting every season. Put actual pieces of gear in here that players can look forward to getting. But I really, really don't understand why in season 6 we have these different chests. Like this one here only has these 4. They're like the newer tier 2 commanders, and these ones are separate. I get it for the brand new commanders, like the ones that are going to be coming out next season, ideally, if they want to have them in a separate chest for one season. But why do we still have Glasha and Falcon and whatever in their own? Because let's be honest, for me, I'm not using these. Like, I'm just getting rid of them. I just think they should all be in one. That's a side note, but I guess that's not really what's happening here. But it says they adjusted the names, nothing changes. I think something needs to change. They all need to be in one. And on another side note, the battle pass system needs updated. But those are all the optimizations with, I didn't plan on adding notes to all of them, but it happened. So moving on to the campaign adjustments, there's some really big things here that I'm excited for. The first one, it says, in the Rings of Power Kings of Men, the Fellowship can only join a new kingdom 48 hours after leaving the previous one. The new kingdom will be able to use its kingdom ring abilities after 48 hours. So this is just going to prevent people from kingdom hopping. If they were on a losing side and joined in one, they couldn't do that as quickly. There's 48 hours, as well as for new kingdoms. For example, if we were to take Osgiliath and take our enemy's ring, their kingdom would disband. They could then use a different ring they have and make another one, but they're making it so that can't be done as quickly, or even so that, like, technically, this is, in my opinion, Osgiliath is not a good spot for a kingdom ring. I would much rather have a place like Umbar that's like really secure, or up here, or we don't have ours here either. We have ours over in Kindland. But I think it just prevents people from, they could have another fellowship take Umbar, and then they could all move over to this one because it's much more secure. And since the fellowships in this kingdom captured these regions, they could do that. And they could technically do that. And then, like, assuming that they could get this other fellowship to, like, do what they want, they could kind of just, like, boot them out and, like, use them to, like, shuffle over. I'm not saying that's happening, but we've thought through some different scenarios that, like, what would be if you're in a losing situation, how could you, like, shift your ring? And it would be, honestly, finding another fellowship, helping them take one, and then shifting at least 4 of yours over, maybe even a 5th, and, like, merging that other group in with yours, or just having a bunch of people from yours join and make a new fellowship, and then go to, like, your most powerful players, go down here, take this, start a kingdom. This just slows that whole process down, because technically that could be a little bit cheesy, and that would be a way for them to transfer their kingdom ring down here and still have as many as they have, and then so on and so forth. So I think that's just going to slow down and keep some of that more cheesy type stuff from happening, which I think is good. The next one, the really big one here, it says, in the Rings of Power Kings of Men, the fellowship limit of a kingdom will be adjusted from 3 to 5. So you can no longer have 500 people in a kingdom. It's going to be 300. This is something we mentioned in a video verbatim. It was like, hey, I think we need to change it to 3. The idea being that there are not really more than 1,000 players in servers, like active players. And so it ends up being a 1v1. If that, like, our server, in my opinion, is best case in terms of balance. A lot of other ones are very one-sided. There's not enough players to have good competition 1v1. But since it's only 1v1, it's like a teeter-totter. Eventually, it's going to start tipping one way, and it's not going to stop. If it's a war game and we're fighting 1v1, there's no reason for us to take our foot off the gas because it's a 1v1. So we're not going to give them a break because we're winning. We're going to keep going, which means the season is over. But if we break it up and instead there's really about 12 fellowships right now in this server. If you break it up to 3, then that means there's 4 fellowships, maybe even a 5th one, or kingdoms, sorry. There'd be 4 or 5 kingdoms. So even if there are 2 powerful ones, they could fight. But once there's a tipping point, you might have other kingdoms doing things that you have to react to. And I think it means less of a, like, teeter-totter and then done, and more of a reacting on several fronts to what's happening, which to me makes a lot of sense. So I'm very glad to see that that's happening. 2 more, and then I've got one more note. Then we're gonna wrap up. The second to last one here. It says, in Rings of Power, Kings of Men, tacticians can check the starting point chosen by the team leader at the time of registration when selecting the location where the journey begins. So when you start a new season, you get to go in here in season 6 and click where you want to spawn. We originally had put together, I put together this map with the help of our team providing information of this area. So as you can see here, we put together what we thought was the ideal starting location based on where mobs were, all that kind of stuff. And we ended up not going over there because we heard other big groups were going there. So we were like, oh, we don't want to, we didn't know they ended up becoming allies, but we played it safe and went over to Kindland. But we had a lot of players who weren't as up to date in the Discord or checking different messages going out. We private messaged everyone. But if when you join in, it says, hey, no, like this is the focus over here, and there's a big red X here, whatever it looks like, that would prevent players from being on areas of the map that are away from the team and don't really help the team. So that's a super huge quality of life thing that I've not actually thought of that I think is really, really nice. And last, this is a Season 1 note. It says in Season 1, the personal contribution rank on the teamwork leaderboard is still based on the previous faction after the faction pledges allegiance to another faction. So pretty straightforward there. If you pledge allegiance to another faction, your teamwork, your contribution leaderboard is still based off your previous faction. So yeah, there's that for Season 1. But before we wrap up, I did want to say I'm really happy with this update. I feel like there's some very good quality of life things happening, as well as a major needed change for Season 6 that I think is one of the only ways that it continues to be an enjoyable game mode. I think there's a lot of potential with Season 6, so I'm happy to see them putting some work into changing how the mechanics work. I will say, I'm going to go ahead and pull it up here on the screen. Now, if you guys aren't in the main Discord, you should probably join that. Again, that's where all these update notes are posted anyway. I'll link the main Discord down in the description below. But one of our previous videos we looked at the suggestions in the game suggestions tab right here. So if you join the main Discord, there's this game suggestions tab in the bar counter area. You can go to the suggestion creation area, and you can anonymously submit these suggestions that go through, and the players can go through and upvote them 7, 12, 5, so on and so forth. Now, I don't know what prompted the devs to update the things they did, but they are things we have specifically talked about, and they are things that get talked about in this area as well. I'm not going to sit here and say that like I was the reason that happened. I hope for the sake of the community that I was a part of making that a little bit louder for them to see, but I'm not going to sit here and be like, I did it, guys. But I will say, if we care about the game, we do need to continue in a respectful way, like making our voices heard. So that's why I make a lot of these videos where I talk about the things that are happening and try and raise awareness. Again, I have a lot of videos that get thousands and thousands of views. So if a lot of those people, if you're watching this video and usually you watch through, maybe you leave a like, whatever it is. If you are in the main Discord, go to the game suggestions tab and spend 2 minutes and upvote things. Again, 34, 40. Can you imagine if, you know, right now the highest one I've seen is 46, 30. I mean, if we go back further, there's probably a little bit higher ones, but I don't think I've ever seen one over 100, for example. And we, like I said, sometimes have thousands of people watching these videos. So I think it would speak pretty loud volumes if we put suggestions in here or pick suggestions we liked as a community and they had 1,000 upvotes or 2,000 upvotes or whatever it be. I cannot imagine that would not be something that does not get their attention. So I'm linking the main Discord down below. I think maybe weekly or maybe every other week we'll do another video like we did last week, where we cover maybe my favorite or the community's favorite, 3 or 4 posts where we say, hey, these are the ones we want to make sure, because if only a few people are doing this, it's probably not getting as much attention. But if there's something we can all agree universally, like this is better for the balance of the game, I think getting 1,000 upvotes on it could speak some volume. So again, check out the main Discord if you're not in there already. Again, Discord's free. If you don't have it, it's a really great thing. I've got a Discord link down below as well. If you want to get involved in the community, ask questions, just meet some awesome people, all that good stuff. So check those links out. If you enjoy the game, if you want to support the channel, all those things kind of go together, because if the game doesn't go on, that's what we do on the channel right now. So if you want to see the channel keep going, you want to see the game keep going, take a second to engage and make sure your voice is heard on these matters. But again, that's going to do it for this one. Hope you all enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think of the updates down below in the comments. And as always, I'll see you in a future video.